But they've actually projected downward now. All the financial experts, the rate of growth is so anemic that there's virtually no growth, and they don't see any prospects of jobs coming in. Here's the issue, I think, politically, because there's never been a president that's been reelected with unemployment rates this high. Isn't this a predictable failure? It's not going to get better. And then we keep hearing from the media, well, President Obama, this is a weak field. I don't know.
Sean, I have a hard time seeing a long-term scenario, not that long, but a longer-term scenario that is a good one to bail us out on this. You've got, we spent all the money we can spend.
Yeah.
No more stimulus. The Fed has printed all the money that it can afford to print. We've got a medical package now that the country's trying to adapt to. It's so screwed up that they've had to grant about 150 waivers, 1,500 waivers to people who can't possibly comply with it. People are looking at all that. Taxes going back up in a year or so, year and a half. And people are scared. People are concerned. And try to do something on entitlements. The number one single issue facing the economy really a little longer term, as everybody knows, everybody concedes, and the roof falls in on Paul Ryan. The president, instead of leading, demagogues it. So people look at that, whether it be the Chinese or other bondholders or the American people, American businessmen, and say, what reason do I have to believe that in a little while all this is going to turn around and I will have reason to put good money down to hire people or invest in a company when I have this regulatory burden facing me, when I have these tax rates potentially facing me, and our debt has no hope of being dealt with.
Two things. China is now openly lecturing us about how bad our debt is because they're holding trillions of dollars in the debt. On top of that, you got an economy, as you point out, in just literally no growth mode. And the president running for re-election, you ran for president. What would you advise all of these candidates? I know you haven't endorsed anybody yet. Is there any in particular person? What would you tell them that they need to focus on to win the primary and then take on Obama?
Well, I want to say, first of all, I've never been as proud of the leadership in my party as I have been over the last several months. Over in the House, guys like Ryan and Boehner and those guys have really stepped up because we're in worse shape than people even realize.
Yeah.
Larry Lindsay, an economist who is a good friend of mine who I listen to a lot, points out that interest on the debt alone could swallow us. We're paying about $200 billion a year in interest now with rates almost zero. If interest rates go back up to where they normally stay over a period of the last several decades, we will totally be swamped with almost $1 trillion in interest payments alone. I mean, things are bad. Republicans are stepping up with a Medicare plan. They're stepping up as far as this debt ceiling is concerned, making demands there. You've just got to do it. I mean, this is going to test our democracy like nothing has, I think, in the last couple of 100 years. Do the American people mean it? When they went to the polls and elected a Republican House, did they mean that? Or are they going to say, yeah, I want you to cut spending, but not mine. I got my check the other day. I see nothing wrong with Medicare. When it's going broke, just as sure as we're sitting here, and it's going to drive it into bankruptcy, along with the rest of the government. Liberals should have realized there ain't going to be any money for any of their other programs that they like, too.
Yeah. Well, you miss running?
No, I don't. I enjoy watching them. I saw plenty. Was it today?
Yeah.
He made his economic speech. I thought it was very good what I saw. He's laying it out there. He's being specific. He's opening himself up for that kind of demagoguery. In the end of the day, in a democracy, you have to have ultimate faith in the American people to ultimately, finally, do the right thing. And that's what we're going to find out in these next few elections.
Good to see you, Senator.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate you being here. And we're going to take a break and we'll come back. You want to throw the football out?
Not especially.
We'll continue. Our great American
like a real football
is next. It is a real football. And tonight on our Great American Panel, he is an editor at dailycaller.com, Fox News contributor. Tucker Carlson's back. He's an Emmy and Peabody Award-winning comedian. He's appearing next week at the Helium Comedian Club in Philly.
What is that? Like, it's insignificant.
I've never heard of it. On June 15th through the 18th. Paul Mercurio is back with us, and he also works on The Daily Show with your friend Jon Stewart. I'm allowed to say that, right?
Yeah, it's not that
I think it's a good show. He hates conservatives, hates my guts, but I think it's a good show.
I don't want to defend that.
He's a Democratic pollster. Fox News contributor Doug Schoen is here. All right. Now, no Democrat that I can read has yet said, Weiner, resign. But Harry Reid said this.
I know Congressman Weiner. I wish there was some way I can defend him, but I can't. I'm not here to defend Weiner.
What do you think he should do?
That's all I'm going to say.
What advice would you give him if he asked you?
Call somebody else. Okay.
Call somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that at the Helium Comedy Club.
You going to use that? All right.
Look, Sean, this is a tragedy. Democrats are running away from him. Nancy Pelosi's called for the investigation. A bunch of Democrats in marginal districts have given the money. He gave them back to charity. I hope for his sake he realizes that this is untenable.
Does he hurt the party as long as this goes on?
Yes, this hurts the party. This hurts Democrats. And that's really ultimately what it comes down to.
Well, look, I mean, I think he should resign, but I have a different set of reasons, which are that, like, if you're going to put your wife, your marriage, your job, your career at jeopardy over a sex scandal, at least actually have sex with the women. Don't have virtual sex. He had the same pleasure that you experience when you play Tetris. This doesn't make any sense.
Oh, man. Well, it doesn't make it. You see, the impulsive, it seems to me that he's got real deep problems.
Right.
I mean, you know, do you ever send pictures?
He's a man. He's a creep. He's
a man. He's a creep. We'll just sum it up that way.
And his caucus supports him. If Democrats in leadership wanted him out of the House, he would be out tonight.
But Republicans always say resign.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying what matters in his case is what do his fellow Democrats think, and they support him. Ted Kennedy killed a woman and went and served 40 more years in the United States Senate with the support of his colleagues. I mean, you can get away with it on the Democratic Party.
I mean, look at Clinton. I mean, you know, that's a leader for you. He had meat and potatoes heterosexual sex, and he didn't resign.
You know, Sean, this isn't a partisan issue. This is a guy who, as you suggest, has issues. And you know what?
He's a pervert.
For the good of the Congress, it's best that he move on.
Well, but
they can kick him out tomorrow if Nancy Pelosi said leave.
But Democrats are mad at him for this reason, because they like to spend all this time lying to senior citizens and scaring the living crap out of them, saying that Paul Ryan is going to take this Medicare, which is a lie. So this gets
Sean,
him off.
I guess I reach a different conclusion. If we get sidetracked when we got the debt, the deficit, the issue with housing prices, the cost of the bailouts, and we're focusing on this, we all lose. We really do.
You know what?
I think you agree.
I don't know. I feel like I've won, actually,
we are,
in this last
it's a pretty
couple of
cheap
days.
victory.
Well, maybe,
but it's one I've enjoyed. I'll be totally honest.
It is a nice
you don't enjoy this.
No, I'm just being, no, just the whole, we all lose. No, we don't lose.
No, we
Anthony
do.
Weiner loses. He's the one who sent pictures of himself. I haven't lost anything.
Just wait.
I'm not
listen,
defending him. If he had a gambling problem, or if he were an alcoholic, okay, he didn't have sex with anybody. What if he admitted, I have a problem, and he went and he got help? I mean, are people allowed to rehabilitate themselves?
He's taking pictures of his private parts and sending them to 26-year-old women.
You haven't taken pictures and tweeted. Your hair hasn't taken pictures of itself and tweeted it uncombed.
Look, I'm going to confess tonight. There are naked pictures of me out there.
Really?
When I was 1 year old, I'm sure there's a picture of me out there somewhere.
Wow.
Well, don't you think he deserves a little credit for not? I mean, I'm not defending Weiner or what he did, but he actually didn't hide behind the "I've got a problem, I'm seeking therapy."
He lied for 10 days.
Of course he did. But he's a politician. But at least he didn't do it. All the Democrats
not all politicians lie. There are honest people.
Well, listen,
we're going to take a break. And by the way, Romney beating Obama in the latest poll. We'll give you those numbers when we get back. Straight ahead. And we continue now with our Great American Panel. All right, as I've been saying, with the economy as bad as it is and the foundation of the economy being awful, socialism always fails. I don't see the economy coming back for 2012. All the numbers we got in the last week and a half have been awful. Now it's showing up in the polls. For the first time, after being pretty close to statistically tied, Mitt Romney now leads Barack Obama 49 to 46%. Should the White House be nervous?
the White House has to be extremely nervous. They have no economic message. It isn't a bump in the road. It's a downturn. And after Sunday, when Austin Goolsbee did a mediocre job at best on Face the Nation, he promptly quit.
Which is why he's gone.
He's gone.
The only one who's stuck is the turbo tax cheat, Tim Geithner. He's the only one that hung around.
And you know, they don't have a strategy. They don't have a plan. They don't have a clear approach. The only thing they have is the Republicans, Sean. Thank goodness.
Well, that's exactly right.
Who is the one Republican they fear the most?
I think at this point, they fear more economic conditions than Mitt Romney, Michelle Bachmann, Newt Gingrich had out. They're just worried about the environment.
Who do you think Tucker's the strongest?
I don't think it should matter, actually. This is a re-elect. The race ought to be about Barack Obama's stewardship of the country, and particularly the economy. They actually did have a pretty comprehensive plan. It failed conclusively. If Republicans can manage to keep this race about Barack Obama and his tenure, they win. If they allow it to become about them, I don't know.
I mean,
That's right.
he's got to be bummed out. I mean, you kill the most hated terrorist in the history of time, and you're equal in the polls to a guy who can't defend his own health care.
I praised him for making that call. I thought it was a gutsy call.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. It wouldn't have happened if his policies of rendition, black ops sites, Gitmo, enhanced interrogation, all of these things wouldn't have happened if Barack Obama had his way. So he benefited from George Bush and never gave him a word of credit.
It proves that bipartisanship can work.
No, that's a good line.
But,
no, it's true.
But what
it's
Obama
more than a
has
good
to do,
line.
he's got to do two things. He's got to try to lower gas prices or every month kill a terrorist. Every month until the election.
I hope he does.
And he'll be in.
I hope he does.
I would support him on that.
You know what I mean?
He has to first acknowledge there's a war on terrorism. He hasn't quite, gotten to the point where he can do that.
But Romney's the only viable one.
No, he's not.
No.
Because it's going to be, Tucker's right, it's going to be about Obama and his failed policies.
And, Republicans are looking, frankly, for fresh faces. They want something new.
Don't you think it should be about more than that? It shouldn't be just about how bad.
It should be about ideas, but so far.
It should be about ideas and what you bring to the table.
No, Obama he's failed as president. His result. Listen, look, they're going to run against Bush. He got his stimulus. He created his nearly $5 trillion in debt. His failed policies,
You're talking about
his
Bush?
unemployment rate. I'm talking about Obama.
But look what he inherited.
Because Bush had a couple of
Look what he
stimulus.
inherited. Look, the poll came out this week. Blaming Bush ain't flying.
But wait a second. Wait a second.
Hold on,
Wait a second. Obama ran on the idea that he had the solution to these problems.
That's
right?
correct.
And he put into place a plan that was, whatever else you think about it, good or bad, was big. I mean, it was a big idea.
Big, aggressive plan.
And the results are in. It did not work. And so the idea that this election is about is that.
All right, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, I don't have time to play it. We'll play it tomorrow night. But she basically goes on to say that the GOP wants to drag us back to Jim Crow. Now,
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
She said that?
Yeah. She said
That's disgusting.
Republicans who want to literally drag us all the way back to Jim Crow laws and literally and transparently block access to the polls to voters who are more likely.
It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. The head of the DNC injecting race into an issue of voter
she's a genius,
access.
this one. She is a great position for her.
No, this is bad. It's bad government, bad politics, and just plain dumb.
Well, it's worse than anything Anthony Weiner ever did, that's for sure. I mean, that's a hateful thing.
I mean,
Well, Barack Obama did it on Medicare when he said Republican plan wants kids with autism, Down syndrome,
but the whole underlying premise of her statement, which was ridiculous and inappropriate,
demagoguery.
It's right, exactly, and she should not be in the position she's in. But the idea of voter fraud is the whole issue here. And let's be honest, both sides are guilty of that.
You
Going
can
back to
like or
JFK,
dislike the idea, but to interject race and racism into a policy debate about voters makes no sense.
Great panel tonight,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Greta has a great show next, and we'll see you tomorrow night.